An ecclesiastical province is a large jurisdiction of religious government, so named by analogy with the secular Roman province. In hierarchical Christian churches that have dioceses, a province is a collection of those dioceses. The Roman Catholic Church, the Orthodox churches and the Anglican Communion all have provinces. These provinces are led by a metropolitan archbishop. In the early church and in some modern churches, an ecclesiastical province's principal episcopal see is called the metropolis and its bishop is called the metropolitan bishop or metropolitan. Diocesan church organization. Early history. Ecclesiastical provinces first corresponded to the civil provinces of the Roman Empire. From the second half of the 2nd century, the bishops of these provinces were accustomed to assemble on important occasions for common council in synods. From the end of that century, the summons to attend these increasingly important synods was usually issued by the bishop of the capital or metropolis of the province, who also presided over the assembly, especially in the East. Important communications were also forwarded to the bishop of the provincial capital to be brought to the notice of the other bishops. Thus, in the East, during the 3rd century, the bishop of the provincial metropolis came gradually to occupy a certain superior position, and received the name of metropolitan. At the First Council of Nicaea, this position of the metropolitan was taken for granted, and was made the basis for conceding to him definite rights over the other bishops and dioceses of the state province. In Eastern canon law since the 4th century, it was a principle that every civil province was likewise a church province under the supreme direction of the metropolitan, i.e., of the bishop of the provincial capital. This division into ecclesiastical provinces did not develop so early in the Western Empire. In North Africa, the first metropolitan appears during the 4th century. The Bishop of Carthage being recognized as primate of the dioceses of northern Africa. Metropolitans of the separate provinces gradually appear, although the boundaries of these provinces did not coincide with the divisions of the empire. A similar development was witnessed in Spain, Gaul, and Italy. The migration of the nations, however, prevented an equally stable formation of ecclesiastical provinces in the Christian West as in the East. It was only after the 5th century that such gradually developed, mostly in accordance with the ancient divisions of the Roman Empire. In Italy alone, on account of the central ecclesiastical position of Rome, this development was slower. However, at the end of antiquity, the existence of church provinces as the basis of ecclesiastical administration was fairly universal in the West. In the Carolingian period they were reorganized, and have retained their place ever since. Eastern Christian churches. After the East-West Schism, the early Christian communities and structures remained. In Eastern Orthodoxy, all parishes belong to an eparchy, the equivalent of a diocese, which is governed by a bishop. Eparchies normally follow civil boundaries, but there are exceptions. Eparchies are part of an autonomous church, headed by an archbishop, metropolitan or patriarch depending on the status of the particular autonomous church. Autonomous churches normally follow civil or national boundaries. Catholic Church in general. In the Catholic Church, a province consists of a metropolitan archdiocese and one or more of other particular churches, usually dioceses. The archbishop of the metropolitan see is the metropolitan of the province. The delimitation of church provinces in the Latin Church is reserved to the Holy See. However, there have always been individual dioceses which do not belong to any province, but are directly subject to the Holy See. There are also some archdioceses that are not metropolitan sees and some that are suffragan to another archdiocese. Their archbishops do not receive the pallium. The authority of the metropolitan over the sees within his province is very limited. During a vacancy in a suffragan see, the metropolitan can name a temporary diocesan administrator if the College of Consultors of the diocese fails to elect one within the prescribed period. A metropolitan generally presides at the installation and consecration of new bishops in the province, and serves as the first court of appeal regarding canonical matters of provincial diocesan tribunals. The metropolitan's insignia is the pallium. In the Eastern Catholic Churches, the term metropolitan is used in a similar way to the Eastern Orthodox Churches. In some of the Suiiuri's Eastern churches, the head of the church is a metropolitan. These Suiiuri's metropolitan churches are generally less populous than patriarchal or major archiepiscopal churches, and are subject to greater oversight by the Pope and the Congregation for the Oriental Churches. The authority exercised by the metropolitan over his suffragan dioceses is as limited today as it ever has been in history. Emphasis is placed on each bishop having a direct relationship with the Pope and not dependent on the metropolitan. The metropolitan is supposed to hold a provincial council every 3 years. Because of restrictions, he probably cannot officially visit dioceses other than his own, that are technically within his jurisdiction. He can nominate candidates for vacancies to the bishopric within his province. Provincial boundary lines. The borders of provinces have often been inspired, or even determined, by historical and/or present political borders. The same is often true of diocesan borders within a province. The following are some examples. In France, where the boundaries partly reflected later Roman provinces, most have been rearranged to fit new administrative regions. A comparable process to that of France occurred earlier in Spain. In southern Germany, the diocesan boundaries follow the political boundaries that existed between 1815 and 1945. In Ireland, the 4 ecclesiastical provinces fixed by the Synod of Kells in 1152 reflected the contemporary boundaries of the secular provinces. But the ecclesiastical provinces and dioceses do not coincide with the present civil province and county borders. Since the partition of Ireland in 1920, 6 dioceses in the province of Armagh straddle the international border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. In Scotland, the dioceses, and subsequently the 2 provinces, follow both civil and geographical boundaries such as rivers. In geographically large nations with a sizable Catholic population, such as the United States, ecclesiastical provinces typically follow state lines, with less populous states being grouped into provinces. In the United States, there are 5 exceptions. California has 2 metropolitan archdioceses and provinces, Los Angeles and San Francisco. Texas has 2 metropolitan archdioceses and provinces, Galveston, Houston, and San Antonio. Maryland is unusual in that 14 of its 23 counties belong to dioceses whose see-cities are outside Maryland. The 9 counties of Maryland's Eastern Shore are part of the Diocese of Wilmington, Delaware, and the 5 counties adjacent to the District of Columbia and in southern Maryland are part of the Archdiocese of Washington, which is a different province. Only the remaining 9 counties and the city of Baltimore are part of the Archdiocese of Baltimore. Fisher's Island, a part of Suffolk County, New York, and north of Long Island, is part of the Diocese of Norwich, Connecticut, which is in a different province. Those parts of Idaho and Montana that are within Yellowstone National Park are part of the Diocese of Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is in a different province. In addition, the Diocese of Gallup contains 2 Arizona counties, Apache County and Navajo County, and part of a 3rd county, i.e., those parts of the Navajo and Hopi reservations that are in Coconino County, New Mexico and Arizona, however, together form one province. Many countries contain more than one province, except those with a small population or few Catholics. Anglican Communion member churches of the Anglican Communion are often referred to as provinces. Some provinces are coterminous with the boundaries of political states, some include multiple nations while others include only parts of a nation. Some, such as the Church of the Province of West Africa, have the word province in their names. These member churches are known as provinces of the Anglican Communion, and are headed by a primate, who may also be referred to as a primus. presiding bishop, or moderator. The word province is also used to refer to groupings of dioceses within a member church. The Church of England is divided into two provinces, Canterbury and York. The Anglican Church of Australia has 5 provinces: New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Victoria and Western Australia, and an extra-provincial diocese. The Anglican Church of Canada has 4, British Columbia and Yukon, Canada, Ontario, and Rupert's Land. The Church of Ireland has 2, Armagh and Dublin. The Episcopal Church in the United States of America numbers, rather than names, its 9 provinces. Evangelical State Church in Prussia. The Evangelical State Church in Prussia, formed in 1821, had ecclesiastical provinces as administrative subsections, mostly following the boundaries of those political provinces of Prussia which formed part of the state before 1866. With some border changes after 1920 following World War I. Territorial cessions. Religious institutes. The term province, or occasionally religious province, also refers to a geographical and administrative subdivision in a number of orders and congregations. This is true of most, though not all, religious communities founded after the year AD 1000, as well as the Augustinians, who date from earlier. A province of a religious institute is typically headed by a provincial superior. The title differs by each institute's tradition. The borders of a religious institute's provinces are determined independently of any diocesan structure, and so, the borders often differ from the secular, or diocesan, ecclesiastical provinces. The order's provinces are usually far larger than a diocese, a secular province, or even a country, though sometimes they are smaller in an institute's heartland. Most monastic orders are not organized by provinces. In general, they organize their administration through autonomous houses, in some cases grouped in larger families. For example, each Benedictine abbey is an independent foundation, but will often choose to group themselves into congregations based on historical connections.